Today I fancy talking about Silent Hill. Silent Hill is a very important series to me, and as a teenager I pretty much played those first 4 games on a loop, and they definitely informed my love of horror. They were scary and strange, yet at the same time complex, with a beauty to them. But it wasn't just those first 4 games now, was it? Because this is a franchise after all. From 2004 it sort of started to enter this weird limbo state, as it branched out and went beyond video games. We had some good stuff, like these soundtracks, really good. Then we had some questionable things, such as these 2 comics. They did more comics, I just own these 2. Whatever the hell this thing is. And our topic for today's video, the films. Now, these films I don't feel get talked about all too often, and I decided to re-watch them because something started to happen again with the franchise. We've had some new news, and because of recent developments I thought it'd be worth giving these another look. And what I realised while re-watching these films is that they may be a larger part of Silent Hill's downfall than anybody gives them credit for. And that's what I want to explore today in today's video. So let's get started, and before we do, this is a spoiler warning. I'm going to be spoiling both the films and the first and third game. So if we're all cool with that, let's crack on. After 4 successful outings in video game form, Konami thought it'd be a good idea to license out their IP for a film. In walks Chrisotphe Gans, a fellow who'd been trying to acquire the rights to Silent Hill for the past 5 years, and a self-professed Silent Hill fan, which may work to the film's detriment. He set about to create a faithful adaptation to the source material with a $50 million budget, and in 2007 we got Silent Hill, based off the plot of the first video game, with some tweaks here and there to make it film friendly, you know? And it was a success. It made its money back at the box office, and it got generally favourable reviews from audiences. Now, I went to see this when it came out of the cinema. I was underaged. Me and a mate managed to get tickets to it. So you mix that with the love of the series. I'd been playing the games non-stop throughout my teen years, and the thrill of getting into a film you're not supposed to be seeing. And yeah, it won me over. I lapped the thing right up. Since that watch though, I can't really remember watching it much after that. I probably watched it a couple times as a teenager on the DVD when that came out, and then I think I might have watched it one more time on the Blu-ray when I grabbed that in my 20s, I must have been, and I think I was drunk while I watched it as well. So I think it's about time for a rewatch, isn't it? So, was this the video game film darling that I and everybody else thought it was? Right off the bat, this film does one thing very right, and that is the setting. A lot of the outdoor sections really do feel like Silent Hill, and it's great to see. Lots of the place names, shop fronts and road signs are straight from the game, and you can tell there was care and attention put into these environments. This is the nicest I'll probably be to this film. Now sure, I am a big fan of the games, and I am going to be quite critical about this film, but I don't want you to think it's just a case of me sitting here saying, oh, they changed the source material, it's not the Silent Hill that I played. Honestly, I quite like some of the changes that they made here. I understand that translating a video game to a film, it's never going to be one for one, or you're just watching a Let's Play, basically. So there's going to be changes, and I don't actually mind the changes they made here. I think that they all make a lot of sense, plot-wise. So, like, focusing on the cult is obviously the big one. Cutscenes in general aren't as prevalent in the first game. They're quite few and far between. So the cult isn't a major part of your experience playing through the first game. But it makes sense that they're going to focus on that here. Unfortunately, the cult like the cult plot in the first and third game are probably the weakest part of the original like 4 Silent Hill games. So when that is your focus, it is going to be a weaker product at the end. The whole pace of the film is way off as well. It's basically just moving from set piece to set piece. Things just kind of happen with little reason as to why, and it makes it all feel very muddled and rushed. Which is funny because this film is over 2 hours long, which is a ridiculous length for a Silent Hill film. And I think the pacing issues really are a hangover from it being a video game, from the source being a video game. So when you're playing the game, like 15-20% of that game is the cutscenes, and it might even be less actually, and the rest of it is gameplay. It's you walking around environments, soaking in the atmosphere, solving puzzles and fighting enemies. The cutscenes just sort of serve as context for why you're doing what you're doing. And that's where the quieter moments come in. Now, the issue with the film is because it's being so faithful to the source material, it's basically just taking the cutscenes and removing these atmospheric moments in between the cutscenes, or minimising them drastically. And it feels like it's missing something. It feels like an incomplete piece. Not fully sure why they changed some character names around. Harry's now Chris and Cheryl is now Sharon. Don't know what the thought was there. Maybe something about the names would sound better for a Western audience, I don't know. I don't mind Harry taking a back seat for our new character Rose, who I always think's played by Naomi Watts for some reason. I think it's fine, but the issue is that Chris or Harry doesn't really have anything to do now. So he's just wandering around aimlessly in the background and never really accomplishes anything. Every time his sections are on screen, the film just sort of screeches to a halt. And it's a shame because Chris is played by fellow Sheffield man Sean Bean, who I'm a fan of generally. Funnily enough in this as well, I think Sean Bean looks more suited to play James Sunderland from Silent Hill 2 than Harry Mason. The characters from the games like Sybil Bennett and Dahlia Gillespie are decent representations, and luckily they do help to move the plot forward as well, which is nice to see. They really did Lisa dirty though, as I think she has some of the strongest moments in the first game, and she's kind of shoved to the side here, and she's nothing but like a light shock towards the end. Such a shame. Then the new additional character, Anna, is pretty pointless, I think. She's only there to be killed, but they spend time setting her up, only to kill her off 10 minutes later. I'd have cut her out, to be honest. And then we get our main villain of this, the cult leader, Christabella, who shows up about an hour in. She's fine, I guess, I don't know. Don't really have an opinion on her, to be honest. She's a villain. Speaking of villains, you better believe that they awkwardly shove Pyramid Head into this. Weirdly, they force him in for some gore, and then they just sort of forget about him for the last hour. The thing with his inclusion is, I get why he's here. He's kind of the face of Silent Hill, isn't he? He's the iconic monster, and, you know, you're going to put him all over your promotional material. He's how you're going to get people watching, and he's got a cool design. There's no denying that. There's a reason Pyramid Head is the face of Silent Hill. He just looks really cool. I mean, what else are you going to use? Something from Silent Hill 1, like, what, this caterpillar or this moth monster? You're not going to, are you? You're going to use Pyramid Head. And I get it. And sure, I'm also on your side as fans of Silent Hill and Silent Hill 2. He shouldn't be here because he's James's manifestation. He's a metaphor monster for James Sunderland from the second game. So he has no right to be here, but, you know, what else are you going to do, really? I'm more annoyed that they used the lion creature in this. Again, another monster that's from James Sunderland's subconscious. Why is it in here? It's not iconic. I mean, it kind of is to fans, but like, it's not cool and imposing like Pyramid Head is for newcomers. They just sort of shoved it in as a bit of fan service, and yeah, it's a bit annoying. I don't really see much purpose in it being here. Stop! The story with the Lesser is decent, and it gets pretty dark. Unfortunately, though, The scene with all the exposition of her being burnt up is kind of ruined by the kid actor Jodella Ferland, if I'm pronouncing that right. Her narration is not great. And that's something that I want to bring up, actually. The acting in this is pretty terrible across the board. Laurie Holden as Sybil probably does the best performance, although when she's getting burnt at the end, it can be a little overly dramatic. Everyone else is just stilted and weird. I think it's also an issue with the dialogue as well. It's pretty badly written. And then we've got to talk about Sean Bean. Again, not only are his scenes kind of redundant, but he's doing an American accent in this, and it is so distracting. Maybe that's why they pushed Rose to the front.
Damn it, Rose, what's going on?
Yeah, listen, do you have the records there from Silent Hill?
And I know, the acting in the games isn't great. The voice acting for the games can be stilted and weird, and a lot of people justify it as being otherworldly, and I also kind of agree, but you've also got to put it in the context of things. Late 90s, early 2000s video games, voice acting was usually sort of just last minute. It's a bit of an afterthought, really. It's just like, oh, we kind of need to do that. Sod it, who's in the office will record with whoever's around. So it's never great. Silent Hill 1 is like especially known for its bad voice acting. But there's a charm to that, and we just kind of accept that. There's more leeway to it. Whereas a $50 million Hollywood film having bad voice acting, you know, one's charming and one's very, very lazy.
Look, I don't know what you're thinking here, but you're not helping. There is no way I would ever harm my own daughter.
Look at me. I'm burning.
How do you feel?
Oh, like I've been run over by a truck. But I'm alright, I guess.
One of the biggest fan service things that they do here is include the Silent Hill 1 and Silent Hill 2 soundtrack. And I completely understand utilising the music from the games. Akira Yamaoka's music is incredible. I have the vinyls back there. If you've not listened to those, please do. They're incredible, both in the context of the games and in isolation. They are brilliant pieces of work. So I understand that they are going to use them, but they are very, very quick to use them, you know. Tactless, I guess. In the first 5 minutes, we've had 3 tracks playing, and I think you could really use a lot of the pieces from the soundtracks to emphasise scenes and add emotion and weight to them. But they don't. They just sort of shove them in wherever they feel like, to be honest. It's like, how much of the soundtrack can we cram into this film? And yeah, it feels very fan servicey and lazy. Another nitpick I have is with the CG. It doesn't hold up and it can look pretty cheap. The transition from light world to dark world is probably the best bit of CG you're going to see in this. Some of the monsters, though, look really off. So something that people confuse quite a lot between the film and the game is the influence of the town of Silent Hill. So it's only in the film where this influence comes from, and it's influenced by a real place called Centralia in Pennsylvania, where apparently there's like a constantly burning fire underneath the town. In the film, they say that the cult tried to burn Alyssa as a witch, but ballsed it up, and a fire set under the town and won't stop burning. The snow isn't actually snow, it's ash, and the fog is more like a sort of smoke. But yeah, so this is exclusive only to the film. The game's town isn't based on anything like that. The game doesn't mention anything about a fire or anything like that. It is just a foggy, snowy town. But I quite like the inclusion of it for the film. I think it gives the town a little bit of context, and it's a cool backstory, to be honest. Something that I didn't enjoy, though, is the ending to this film. Now, I love an ambiguous ending in a film, but it needs to be earned. It needs to be tactfully done. And I don't think it is here, unfortunately. In the end, Rose and Sharon head back home, as does Chris. But it turns out Rose and Sharon are still trapped in another dimension for some reason. It's not quite the dark dimension, it's more just like the normal Silent Hill dimension. It's never really explained why, and it makes the previous journey that we've just witnessed feel kind of pointless, I guess. It feels like the people making this just went, well, Silent Hill's filled with symbolism and ambiguity, so fuck it, let's just slap in some nonsense ending, and yeah, I'm not a fan. So yeah, I've rambled on about this film more than enough. I think the cracks really started to show for me in this rewatch. It's a shame because I remember really enjoying this when it came out. It felt like I was watching a completely different film, to be completely honest with you. It's strange. It feels like a fake Silent Hill, like an imitation of Silent Hill, or like a best of cutscene compilation on YouTube. It's just set piece after set piece. And it's missing the atmosphere. It's missing those moments that make Silent Hill special and that make the games worth looking at. It's not just about the story, unless it's Silent Hill 2. But even then, like it's these moments in between. It's the exploration. It's the quiet. It's the ambience. And it needed more time to breathe, which is hilarious because this film is 2 hours long. You'd think it's got plenty of time to breathe, but it really doesn't. I don't know, you could say it's style over substance, I guess, because it looks the part, you know, the town looks pretty good, but there's just not much to it, and what is there is kind of irritating. It's sloppy, I guess, and yeah, for everything it does right, it's overshadowed by what it does wrong, I think. But it was a success, it made its money back, and when money's coming in, Konami pays attention. So I think now's a good time to take a little look at the interesting history of Silent Hill. We can see how the first film came about and how what we're going to be talking about later happened as well. So we'll start off with Silent Hill 1, which was a complete fluke. So Konami had no faith in this game. This was made by what is considered the B team, which comprised Team Silent at the time. It was people who didn't quite fit into other projects, and they were all shoved in a room, sort of free to do whatever they wanted, with the vague instruction of make something that's going to beat out Resident Evil. And they did it. They managed it so well, and not only did it beat out Resident Evil, but it became a groundbreaking piece of survival horror. And despite it being a bit PS1 janky, which, I mean, I really like, I think this game still holds up quite well. And they managed it. And Konami saw that they managed it, so do another one, they said. And you know what they did? They did another one, alright. They did Silent Hill 2, which I don't really think I need to say much about this. Not only is this considered one of the best horror games of all time, but it's considered one of the best video games of all time. It is one of my favourite games ever made. It is a complete masterpiece. Again, they had free reign, and they churned this out in a couple of years, and it was a massive, massive success. So do it again, say Konami. But this time, Konami are taking note, and they want a little more input, because they think that they know better, you see. So we got Silent Hill 3, and some of the darker tones were removed, and the plot was shifted more to fit in to continue Silent Hill 1's plot. So the cult's back, and the characters are back. Despite all this, despite Konami's meddling, they made a fantastic game, and again, one of my favourites in the franchise, a fan favourite for a lot of people, really good game. So we got to churn out another one. So this time though, Konami grabbed a game that was sort of already in development, another horror game. They rejigged it, they tweaked it around, and they made Silent Hill 4 The Room. Now, upon its release, this was the first in the franchise to really get some criticism, you know. It wasn't completely panned, but some people were like side-eyeing it a little bit, going, alright, what's that? Now, this is the first one I ever played, so I have a real soft spot for this one. I really like it. And, you know, in more recent years, it has been sort of re-evaluated as actually being pretty good. I think it's an excellent game still. So, 4 massive successes in 5 years. It makes sense that they'd want to branch out and make a film, you know. Because what it does then is, as well, it breaks away from video games and it gets it in front of a new audience, I guess. It draws more people in, and it really did, and it was a big success. And the reason that I think that it was a big success. I think the main reason, anyway, is the state of video game films at the time of its release. You got to think what was out around this point. We had Uwe Boll's adaptations of Postal and House of the Dead, you know. Nobody liked those. You got the 90s Mario Brothers movie that was notoriously terrible. You got things like the Mortal Kombat films, which are fun, but that's just it. They're fun and dumb and don't really care about where they've come from. Then this comes along, and it gives a shit about the source material. And it's a bit more serious. And although I don't think that this holds up at all, I think that what this managed to do is make people take the idea of a video game movie a little bit more seriously. But I think that this was the start of the downfall of the Silent Hill franchise. Because I think Konami took the wrong ideas from the success of the film. They saw that it had a lot of set pieces, they saw that it was big and action-packed, and they went, we need to make our next game big. And what's bigger than the US? So they started outsourcing. And they'd already sort of started doing that with a spin-off game, Silent Hill Origins, which was in the works as the film was. And you know what? Just a little side tangent on this game, actually. I think that this gets more negative criticism than it deserves, to be honest. It's a portable game, so it is quite stripped back. But I think it's fine. You know, it's not my favourite Silent Hill game, but it's far from the worst. You know, look at something like GTA Liberty City Stories, you know. People don't go, oh, it's terrible because it's way worse than San Andreas. They just go, yeah, it's worse than San Andreas, but it's a portable game. So I think that people need to be a bit nicer to this game. I think it's alright. But anyway, Climax was making this, and it came out to pretty mixed reviews. Straight away, the film was doing alright, but Silent Hill Origins sort of mixed. It had a few major bugs, like where the sound had just cut out and things like that. So people weren't best pleased about it. So they went, we need to make a big mainline game now. And this is where they really fucked up. They made Silent Hill Homecoming. This is the frat boy of the Silent Hill franchise. This is very Americanized. You know, they looked at the film, they saw the big set pieces, they saw the action, they saw the Pyramid Head, and they went, put all that in a game. Do that, but in a game. And they did. And unfortunately what we get here is a game that lacks any subtlety, any atmosphere, and instead just focuses on combat and really boring, frustrating gameplay. This is a terrible game. And it's not, I don't, this is the thing. I think it's because of the outsourcing that it ended up bad. Now, Silent Hill has always been influenced by Western media. So things like Jacob's Ladder and Twin Peaks have always been cited as a source of inspiration for the Silent Hill games. Even things like Kindergarten Cop. The school in Kindergarten Cop is basically one for one the school in Silent Hill 1. They just sort of remade that, but in Silent Hill. And things like Portishead as well. Like the Trip Hop Portishead albums are like massively influential on Akira Yamaoka and his music. So Western influence has always been there with Silent Hill. But it's always then been filtered through Japanese sensibilities and restraint. And this is the thing with Americans. They ain't got restraint. And especially a small company who is wanting to make a name for themselves, they want to go as big as possible. And unfortunately they did with this, and they fucked it up massively. And everyone hates this game. This is the worst game in the series, by the way. Absolutely terrible. Irredeemable. Around the same time as well, Climax Studios again did this. They did Silent Hill Shattered Memories, which is like a sort of reimagining of the first game, and it feels more like a phone game, I think, this. There's a lot of running away from monsters. The gimmick is that you do things throughout and it'll change the outcome of it for you, because it's like a psychological thing. It's gimmicky, it's forgettable. So, yeah, they had like a major flop with Homecoming, and they had two mixed reception games with Shattered Memories and Origins. So Konami needed to do something to get Silent Hill back on track. In comes 2012. The year of Silent Hill, or the year that the Silent Hills franchise shat the bed, I think. This was a big year. This had a lot of releases for Silent Hill. And straight out the gate, they fucked it up massively. They put out the Silent Hill 2 and 3 HD Remaster Collection, which I don't own, and it was a massive failure, basically. They used beta builds of the game, there were textures missing, it was buggy and glitchy, the fog was missing, all the dialogue had to be re-recorded. Fans did not like it, and that's why I've not bought it, because it's a little expensive for something that's bad, you know. Then we got Silent Hill Book of Memories, which I don't own because I've never owned a PS Vita. This is a PS Vita game, which is a dungeon crawler. Who the hell was asking for a Silent Hill dungeon crawler? Nobody, apparently, and that one also did really badly. Then we got the next mainline entry, Silent Hill Downpour. Now, I lightly defend this. I don't think it's a good game, and neither did anybody else, but I think that it's better than Homecoming. But it really didn't do well. Again, it's that Western slant on it all that just doesn't work. It's too set piecey, it's too in your face. There's some moments in this that I think work, but overall, not good. And of course, to cap off the year of Silent Hill, we got another film. Silent Hill 3D Revelation. Silent Hill 3D Revelations is a continuation of the first film somehow. We get some old cast members returning, such as Sean Bean, Sean Bean's accent, and Rada Mitchell, as well as some new faces, such as Kit Harrington pre-Game of Thrones, Adelaide Clemens, and Malcolm McDowell. The film is directed by Death Watch director MJ Bassett, who later went on to do some of the Ash vs Evil Dead episodes. And this one is based on the third Silent Hill game, which makes sense, because you're continuing on from the first. So this was made with half the budget of the first film, and is 3D ready. So I again went to see this in the cinema, and I saw it in 3D, and I hated every minute of it. The 3D was headache inducing, and it was a mess from what I remember. So I think as well at that point, I went in watching this in the cinema with a very different mindset to when I went and watched the first Silent Hill film. The first film, I was optimistic. 4 amazing Silent Hill games were out, and the franchise had never been better. I was so happy. Going into 3D Revelations, we just had Homecoming and Downpour, and the HD remaster issues. And watching this, I was just thinking, Konami are killing the Silent Hill franchise. All it looked like they were doing anyway was just fuck it up. This film looks incredibly cheap. The colour grading is garish and lazy looking. 3D films are usually colour graded slightly brighter to compensate for the darkening glasses, but this is pretty shockingly bad. The town of Silent Hill looks like a Disneyland version. It all just looks very artificial. The same can be said for the CG as well, which has aged even worse than the first films. For the most part, the story stays intact with this one, apart from the fact that all the personality has been stripped out of it and it's been condensed heavily into a 95-minute film, and with that, 10 minutes of those are for the end credits. The first section of the film is pretty funny though, as they scramble to try and make it fit in with the last film, where Sharon is now called Heather and Chris now Harry, because they changed the names. Rose apparently popped by and just gave Sharon back to Harry, but she couldn't leave Silent Hill or something, I don't know. It never really gets explained and it all feels very rushed. And this is the first and last time we ever see Rose.
I'm trapped here. There's nothing you can do for me. Protect her. She's the one that matters now.
Then there's the terrible romance angle. So they tweaked the character of Vincent from a weirdo cult fanatic to be Heather's age and to have a very awkward romance with her, where they make cringy one-liners to each other and talk about Facebook.
And do you Facebook? Nothing like that?
Fuck Facebook, do you?
You show someone clips from this film in isolation, and chances are they would never guess that this is from a Silent Hill film.
I think you're goofy fun inside.
Goofy fun.
They really nerfed Douglas's character in this as well, which is a shame. He's the detective, and in the game he has some of the better scenes, I'd say. He's got some of the best moments. In this, though, now he's dead in the first 20 minutes. Something else I noticed as well, which is quite funny. There's 3 actors in this that are British. 2 of those are in main roles in this, and those 2 are both doing terrible American accents. What was with the casting in this? The acting is once again appalling in this. Now, I said it was bad in the first one, but this is way worse. Most of the dialogue is terrible, but it all feels like a school play version of Silent Hill. No one's believable. No one can emote properly. The accents are all over the place. It is a complete mess.
I don't think I like my reality.
Do you think anyone does?
Okay, don't come back here, not yet. I'll meet you somewhere.
Monster-wise, of course, Pyramid Head is back. For some reason, though, they keep sticking him on this merry-go-round. Like, why is he on that? Why is he operating it? What has that got to do with anything? We get lion creatures and nurses as well. And then all the other monsters that we get here look more like Xenobites than anything from Silent Hill. There's a ridiculous moment at the end where Pyramid Head turns good for some unknown reason, and he has a fight with a Xenobite. And just look at this. It looks like an advert for a Mortal Kombat DLC or something. It's awful. Then Malcolm McDowell is of course in this. Now he's playing a character called Leonard, who in the game you don't really see that much. Also he looks like this in the game, whereas in the film he's just a blind old man. I don't really have anything to say about his character apart from Malcolm McDowell's in this. Bizarre. I didn't mind the mannequin creature. I thought that was pretty fun. There's something a bit like this in Homecoming, I think. Maybe it's a reference to that. It's probably the most fun design we get in this film. The scene's a bit odd though, because there's other people involved in it. Who are these people? And why are they here? It makes no sense. And I want to moan about the ending a little bit, because it all just feels so rushed and really dumb. So Pyramid Head saves the day for no reason. It might have something to do with the seal of Metatron. I don't know. It's such a bad name for something that. It sounds like something from Transformers. Harry decides to go back and look for Rose. And now, this is a big one for me. This blew my mind watching this in the cinema. Harry's character. Again, I'm going to be spoiling the third game. I've already said a spoiler warning, but I'm going to be spoiling it a little bit more here. So, in Silent Hill 3, Harry Mason dies halfway through the game. And it is a major point in the game. The guy who you play as in the first game dies off screen in the third game. And it's a major point not just for Heather's character, but also for the audience playing it as well. And it's such a major part. Whenever I think of Silent Hill 3, that is one of the parts that really sticks with me. And in the film, the character who is supposed to die, played by Sean Bean, doesn't die. What the fuck were they on doing this? Why have they kept him alive? You could actually have like a moment in this film where it like in the game, it's such an emotional moment and it's such a well-made moment. And they've squandered it. And the guy playing it is the guy who dies in every film he's in. And they didn't kill him. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. But anyway, after Harry wanders off, we get a reference to Silent Hill Origins and Silent Hill Downpour in the space of like a minute. It is so forced.
Travis Grady.
Vincent.
The 3D is really bad too. I mentioned earlier that seeing it in the cinema gave me a headache, and I remember that quite vividly. And then I went out and bought the 3D Blu-ray because I'm a complete sucker. And I remember watching this when I got it, and the 3D was even worse on a 3D TV, and it gave me such a headache that it made it nearly unwatchable. So those are the only 2 other times that I've seen this film. For this review, I decided to watch it in 2D, because I'd never seen it in 2D and I wanted to actually pay attention to it and not just have a migraine throughout it. And I'd say that if you are going to watch it, which you shouldn't, but if you are going to watch it, 2D is the way to go. It does make the bits where they're sort of shoving stuff at you a little bit more obvious, I guess. because it's not doing the 3D effect. But, you know, I didn't get a migraine, so it wins out. The 2D version wins out just for that alone. So, I'd say that a lot of my issues with this film are just kind of the same as what I had with the first film, but heightened. It's a mess. It's sloppily made. It looks cheap. It feels cheap. And it just doesn't understand what makes Silent Hill good or why people care about the Silent Hill franchise. It's quite loud and flat, which is weird. Like, it's loud in that it's throwing a lot of stuff at you, but it's quite flat in that it's all very quite dull and boring. And if you think about it, loud and flat is like the complete opposite of Silent Hill, isn't it, really? So, yeah, it just sort of fucked it up massively, and it doesn't do any justice to it, and it was bad, and it did badly as well. I remember a lot of people hated this film, me included. It's not only a bad Silent Hill film, it's just a bad film in general. So it felt like Revelations was kind of the nail in the coffin for Konami and the Silent Hill franchise, because I'm pretty sure this was the last thing to be released in 2012, at least in the UK it was anyway. And after that, Konami just sort of hung it up and said, nobody wants Silent Hill anymore. Which isn't true. We did want Silent Hill. We just didn't want shit Silent Hill like we were being given. And it was a shame, really. I mean, this did get really bad reviews, and I can't see this having garnered any more fans of the franchise. I know for a fact that if I'd have seen this, having not played the games, I would not touch the games at all. I wouldn't go anywhere near the games. And it's a shame, really. Like, that something like that could have that effect. I don't know if it did, but I can imagine it might have. So Silence, then. We got Silence. 2014, though. Something gets put on the PlayStation 4 shop for free. Turned out to be PT, which was a playable teaser, for those who don't know, for a new Silent Hill game called Silent Hills, to be produced by Hideo Kojima. And Konami hated that idea, didn't want anything to do with it, and shut that down very quickly, deleting it off the shop front, so you just can't play that anymore now. Oh well, we get Death Stranding instead. Oh, and they did some pachinko machines as well around this time, just what the fans were asking for. So after that little false start in 2014, silence again, for nearly a decade, until 2022, when suddenly we get announcements, lots of announcements, and we were getting a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff was promised. Did they fuck it up again? Well, it was a bit of a rocky start. We had a few flops, but eventually we got the Silent Hill 2 remake in 2024, and we got Silent Hill F in 2025. And these two are excellent, excellent games. Silent Hill 2 Remake managed to be faithful to the original, while updating it somewhat, and is a really good game. Silent Hill F, I think, is fantastic. Maybe that's what the F stands for. More people need to give this one a go. I've seen a lot of reviews where people are like, oh, I played it for 2 hours and then just left it. It's like, well, 2 hours isn't really enough, is it? You know? I don't know. I feel like if I played Silent Hill 2, the original one, for 2 hours and just key up on it, I probably wouldn't care about the franchise either, you know. I feel like people don't give things enough of a chance these days. But oh well. So yeah, we actually got some decent stuff. And with that, we also get the announcement for a new film, because when success shines its door on Silent Hill, we get new films. Of course we do. So, Return to Silent Hill is set to be released in January of 2026, which is the same month I'm recording this video, and is once again directed by Chrisotphe Gans. Now, I don't really know how I feel about this, to be honest. I'm cautious. The plot is set to be based on Silent Hill 2, and that scares me. That scares me a lot. So, Silent Hill 2 is a very important game to a lot of people. It was the first video game that I played where the story actually touched me emotionally, you know? It actually resonated, it did something. And it was like a bit of an eye-opening moment. It was like, oh wow, games aren't just Crash Bandicoot and Spyro where you run around and collect things. They can have emotional weight behind them. And it is so pitch perfectly told through atmosphere and horror. It's such a great blend of a lot of things that I don't know how it's going to translate into a film. I really do not know how it's going to translate into a film. And if it's bad, it'd be such a shame. If they fuck it up, it'd be such a shame that might be people's introduction to that story. Because I always say to people, go into Silent Hill 2 as blind as possible, because the story is just so good. One of the best stories in video games, hands down. And I don't know, because after rewatching the first Silent Hill film and seeing what he decided was a good idea, you know, I'm scared he's going to fall into the same pitfalls of it being bombastic and lose a lot of the atmosphere. And the thing is, Silent Hill 1 and Silent Hill 3, the stories can allow themselves to be a little more in your face and bombastic. It fits with the culty stuff and all that. It's fine, it's fine. The second one is not like that at all. It is a very emotion-driven story. And I don't know. I'm concerned, let's say. There must be a way. There must be a way to translate these quieter moments where you're playing, parts where you're wandering around environments, soaking in the atmosphere, a little bit of ambience or silence, and you're solving these puzzles, and these monsters are just off in the distance. There's got to be a way of conveying that in an effective way. And I really hope that he can. I really do. Because it'd be such a shame. It really would be such a shame. Also, something that as well with these films, we've already got 2 Silent Hill films now, and they've both been quite lenient with what they've used from the Silent Hill franchise, Pyramid Head, the soundtrack and things like that. So it's going to lose a little bit of that unique magic, seeing it in the cinema on the big screen again. You know, there's only so many times that you can hear Theme of Laura, you know, and on the big screen and be like, oh wow, you know, we've already had it twice, and it wasn't really used in great places in those films. So I don't know. I feel like they went guns a-blazing with those 2 films and went, let's just use it all. And now that Return to Silent Hill is coming out, it might muddy how that film's received, because it's like we've seen Pyramid Head on the big screen twice. Is it going to matter that much seeing him a third time? In his actual context as well? I worry. I do worry. I am going to be going to the cinema to see this film. Of course I am. And if you're interested in hearing my thoughts on it, then do let me know. I would happily make a video talking about it. As you can tell, Silent Hill is something that I really like talking about. So just let me know and I'll see about making a video for it. Looking back on these 2 films then, in the context of the franchise as a whole, I think it's pretty obvious that these were detrimental to the series. Even though the first film meant well, it just set a bad precedent, and suddenly the series became all about action and set pieces, and that was never what it was good at. And then the second film is just bad. It's just really bad. It's lazy, it's cheap, it clearly doesn't understand its source material. And it was just that final nail in the coffin, wasn't it? That 2012 had prepared for Silent Hill. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend either of these. I don't think either of these films hold up. Now, I do get some enjoyment from these films, because I'm a fan of the series. So the thing that I like, and I'm only human for this, is just the little references that you get here and there, you know? They mention a street name, a bit of music plays, you know, there's a Happy Burger or Robbie the Rabbit. You get a little dopamine here, and come on, I'm only human. But I think that made me realise what these films are and what they aren't. And the cheap and the lazy and the nostalgia baity, in a way, I guess. The games were groundbreaking. They revolutionised horror in video games. Psychological horror, storytelling in video games, atmosphere in video games, music in video games. They have a huge part to play in in the genre and in the medium as well. They're very important games. The films are not important in the slightest. And I think that it shows, you know. They're just cheap, shitty horror films. And it's not great. The enjoyment I get is because I know the source material. And so I'd be fascinated to see if these films make any sense to somebody who's never played any of the games. Because I imagine they're just nonsense. I imagine it's just things being thrown at you constantly. If these are, in some way, you're only in with the series, I implore you to play the games. Please play the games. The first one is a PS1 game, so you'd have to like PS1 games to get anything out of it, I think. I really like it. There is a remake coming there, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Please play the second one by any means necessary. I recommend the original. I recommend the remake as well. The remake is pretty good, but the original is better, in my opinion. It just gets a few more things right. This is a masterpiece. Of course it's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece of horror, of atmosphere, and of storytelling. And there's a reason that everybody puts this to the top of their list of like best games ever made. It's play it by any means necessary. And sod it, play 3 and 4 as well. If you can figure out how to get copies of these, they're a bit pricey. These are well worth your time. 3's got some great moments. 4, really good setting. I really like the setting of 4. Yeah, play F as well, actually. Play Silent Hill F, the new one. It took me a little bit to get into it, but it's well worth your time. Oh, and definitely listen to the music. Soundtracks are excellent by Akira Yamaoka. Well worth your time. Don't watch the films. I wouldn't recommend the films at all. Not even for die-hard Silent Hill fans. They're not good. They're not good. So to bring it back around to the point of this video, I do think that these films were partly the cause of the franchise's sort of downfall and dark period, which luckily it seems to be getting out of. But I definitely think that these were detrimental to the series in a big way. And I think it's an element that people don't really talk about much with these films. I think they just sort of think that they're throwaway, but they're just sort of like passive. They just happened and nobody cares. But I think they have more to do with the series getting really shit than people give them credit for. I'm really glad I got to talk about Silent Hill on this channel finally as well. Obviously I'm a big fan, so I've been dying to figure out how to talk about just Silent Hill in general. Shame it had to be with the films, which are terrible, but oh well. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think to this type of video. I also want to thank the members and patrons that are on screen right now. So thanks again for watching. See you in the next video.